Greetings. Welcome to another broadcast of I Have a Testimony. I'm your host, Brother Willie Muhammad.
God came to us to seek and to save that which was lost. He raised a man from among us.
He, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, laid the foundation. What I'm doing is something that comes from him through me, and the thing that he uses in me to do the work is my faith in him and the word that he taught. To produce men and women who wanted to clean up their life and build an independent nation for the glory of God.
Welcome back. Today we're blessed to have with us a guest student minister who comes from the city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He's a student minister of Muhammad Mosque number 65. He led a call for an economic boycott during the aftermath of the death of Alton Sterling, who was murdered by a police officer in the city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
And we share in the pain of the loss of our brothers and family members, Alton Sterling. We stand with his mother and her sorrow and grief as a family. There can be no peace without justice. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan reminds us of Dr. King. Quote, we don't have to argue with anybody. We don't have to curse and go around acting bad with our words. We don't need any bricks and bottles. We don't need any Molotov cocktails. We just need to go around to these stores and to these massive industries in our community, in our country, and say, God sent us by here to say to you that you are not treated as children right. And we have come by here to ask you to make the first item on your agenda fair treatment where God's children are concerned.
And we're back, brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum, brother Abdul Rashid. Thank you for
Reverend Minister Willie.
Thank you for joining us, my brother. And I'm so excited that we have the opportunity to get your history, man, because you made and continue to make a significant contribution to the Nation of Islam generally, and also there in the city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So I'll start off by first asking you, in reference to the clip that we just played, we played the video of you calling for the boycott. I would like for you to the first question to be about that unfortunate death of our brother. In that press statement, you mentioned the Sterling family. What kind of support did you all, the believers there, give to the family during that time?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. At that time, we were blessed to offer financial assistance to the Sterling family. We offered them more moral and spiritual support, and we opened up our mosques to have a campaign selected by a boycott campaign of the largest mall in the state of Louisiana, Mall of Louisiana, along with several other stores. We were very successful, and one day we were able, with Allah's help and the help of the young people that were a part of that coalition, to withdraw over $5.5 million out of Baton Rouge economy, and that just was one day. So we continue to offer our support to the family by opening up our mosques where we could have meetings, or they could have meetings to organize the young people, and basically it was around economic boycott.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you, my brother. And your call for the economic boycott, it stirred up a lot of mixed emotions and mixed feelings, and controversy amongst some of the coalition and then those outside of the coalition. Can you talk about some of the efforts that were taken by those who oppose the economic boycott to undermine it?
Yes, sir. But first of all, we had the state president of SCLC, who was a cousin of mine, Reverend Pitcher, who was one of the first ones to join on to our coalition. He was stripped of his title of being the state representative of SCLC by the national headquarters of SCLC and Dr. Steele for his support of our boycott. Also, we had the NAACP there supporting us, claimed to support us, but they walked away. But the Honorable Minister Farrakhan asked me in his consultation to me to get the young people behind us. So we was blessed to get 100 to 200 young people, mostly college students, behind us. And they participated in a coalition meeting at our mosque. We had it at least once a week, every Wednesday. They would come out and they would offer their support, their ideas, in pushing this boycott. And as I said, in just one day, we was able to shut down the largest mall in the city of Baton Rouge and withdraw over $5.5 million out of Baton Rouge's economy. So, of course, we know whenever the master get angry, then the slaves get angry too. So that's what happened. The slaves got angry and they got upset because they saw the master was feeling some pain. And they started feeling as much pain as our enemies was feeling. And it started working against us. Wow. As usually, that's what happens.
And you mentioned about guidance from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. That's what I want to ask in this next question. You know, so you got guidance, direct guidance from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. If you can share, if there's any more that you can share, and also any guidance and help that you received from the Southwest Student Regional Minister, Brother Abdul Muhammad.
Yes, sir. Well, we received guidance from the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. He was very pleased with the directions that we were taking because we were having success. But of course, undermining efforts did take place to a degree they were successful. And I learned from that experience that we have to rally more behind the young people and keep them focused on the mission and what we're trying to accomplish. Because if we was able to do that in one day, imagine what we could have done if this campaign was continued on for just a week. Just a week, 5 days. That would have been 25, maybe $28 million we could have taken out of the economy, redistributing the pain. So the guidance the minister gave me was to rally, get the youth to rally behind us and support us. We were able to do that for a while until undermining that took place from within as well as from without. So that always happens in any struggle that we have, brother. We have enemies from within and from without.
It's interesting. And now, in regards to, you know, Alton Sterling, the loss of his life, I believe it's been over 6 years, a little over 6 years ago. You know, as you reflect back over that time, what would you say are some of the lessons you learned from his death and even the fight that you just talked about?
Well, what we learned really is from the instructions that we were given, and we followed the instructions of the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, as Honorable Minister Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave to us. Where he tell us to go, where he tells us to stay from. Listen to him when he speaks, you know, and basically follow his guidance and his direction. If we do that, we can't go wrong. So what I learned, because we did include the leadership of the city, NAACP, politicians, SCLC. In the end, all of them turned their backs on us. And the young people, most of them stayed with us. But they had it was a campaign also to take the young folks away from us. So to a degree, they did succeed with that. But the lesson that I learned from the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, get the young people behind you and work hard as hell to keep them behind you. And that was it.
Wow, beautiful. And I'm glad we were able to get this on record, man, so that history can be recorded. You know, my next question, we'll change gears a little bit. You know, I love to hear our guests share their story about how they came to accept the Islam as taught by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You know, what's your story? How did you come to learn about the teachings and eventually accept?
Yes, sir. Prior to 1975, I heard the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Actually, it was around the time I was about to finish high school, getting ready to go into Vietnam, into the military. I was raised up on a small dead-end street, and on that street, there must have been at least 10 or 12 Muslims in the nation that I was raised up with. And when I was able to see what Islam did for them. They were, before coming into the nation, probably some of the worst people you could find on the planet Earth. And I had to fight with many of them just about once a week. I had a fight. Probably half of the times I would get whipped. So I invested in a set of weights, and I started working out every day in my backyard. I got so strong until I became the strongest boy in my middle school. I had to knock out a few of them, and after that, they came on my side. But after I saw what Islam had done for them, it's cleaned them up, stopped them from being gangsters and haters of their people. It attracted me so much until I say that if Islam could do that for them, I need to check it out and see what it could do for me. So they continued to invite me out to the mosque, and finally I went. And the first thing I heard the minister say, his name was Minister Louis X at that time, the white man was the devil. And I believe that 100%. Shortly afterwards, I didn't join the nation then, but I went into Vietnam. And I stayed in Vietnam for 18 months. I heard Muhammad Ali say before I even went, Viet Cong ain't never called me no nigga. The Viet Cong never called me a nigga. So the fight I had in Vietnam was not with the Viet Cong. I never fired one round at them. But I had to punch out quite a few white boys and lay them out. So after I got out of Vietnam, must have been a few years later, I was kind of trying to clean myself up, you know. But I finally found out the mosque is the hospital where you need to clean yourself up in the mosque. I couldn't do it outside the mosque. So I was ready to step into the nation in 1975. And one day I went to work. I saw an article in the Morning Advocate, that's the Baton Rouge newspaper, announcing the death this year of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Then I was told by several people on my way from work, I was stopped by the secretary of the mosque, asked me to give him a ride, and he got in my car and he said, you know, you heard the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had died, right? I said, I heard it, but what about it? He said, well, now the white man is not the devil anymore. I said, brother, if he was the devil yesterday, he's the devil today. The truth don't change. So from that point on, I stood on the teaching and I started getting strong. I started studying and studying until I met the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in Lafayette, Louisiana in 1979. Right after that, I started working and saving my money and preparing to move to Los Angeles because we didn't have anything going on in this part of the country to join the nation. And I stood up. I got my ex around 1980. And I've been standing with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I thank Almighty God Allah every time.
Wow, beautiful, beautiful. And you end up getting registered in Los Angeles.
Yes, sir.
Okay, beautiful. So we're coming up on our first break. And if you are like me, you're enjoying this interview and hearing the history of our brother, his testimony, and even the great work that they did to fight for in the fight for justice for Alton Sterling. Please hit the like button, share, and stay tuned as we'll be back after these brief announcements from our sponsors.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps us to highlight solutions for a brighter tomorrow. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
Now you can get the same uncompromising truth you've come to expect from the Final Call newspaper on all your connected devices. Subscribe to the Final Call Digital Edition today. Go to subscribe.finalcalldigital.com.
The hashtag Bank Black social media campaign made strides not only in revolutionizing how we bank, but also how we think. The movement inspired thousands of African Americans across the country to transfer or deposit millions of dollars into Black-owned banks. These are banks that will invest in urban communities, employ African Americans, support Black businesses, and inspire Black home ownership. This is a very proud moment for our culture as we are taking small, but significant, steps towards building Black power through Black wealth.
Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel at National Network View. I am Anissa Muhammad with nnvnews.com.
And we're back, brothers and sisters, with more of our interview with Brother Abdul Rashid Muhammad. And so, Brother Rashid, you have shared with me before how you were one of the members of the group of believers who traveled to Chicago to work on Mas Mariam, and I believe also to help make some repairs or do some work on the farmland that was purchased in Michigan, if I'm not mistaken. Can you share with us about that experience?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Before Mas Mariam, when I was in Los Angeles, California, Dr. Collin and the Believers, that was in 1983, we acquired a building there, and he hired me to build a renovation of that building, which was the first mosque that was dedicated or rededicated in this new dispensation of the Nation of Islam, Mosque 27. It was beautiful. And after that, a few years later, I moved down to Phoenix, and I was put over the first phase of the renovation of the big house. And afterwards, Brother Jabril asked me to help him to renovate Mosque number 32, Phoenix, Arizona. And myself and my brother named Salahuddin, and Brother Sultan, that's in Chicago now, and a few others. We worked there and renovated Mosque number 32. So I was basically known all over the West Coast for being I probably would say a pretty great builder. But I've been building from the time I was about 6 years old. So when the Honorable Minister Farrakhan repurchased Mas Mariam, I was given a call by Brother Jabril telling me that Brother Carl out of Dallas, Texas, who Minister Farrakhan hired to be over the renovation of Mas Mariam, needed me to come up to Chicago and be over the carpenter work. So I went up and we worked on Mas Mariam for about a year. And I was over all of the carpentry work in regard to the repair and rebuilding of Mas Mariam. We basically did it all over. The balcony that you see there still today, that you see on that picture there, we rebuilt that. We actually put new doors in. The sign you see up above the stage, we installed that. The fence all around the property, we built the foundation for that fence. Just go on and on. Everything you see, the school, the wood walls that you see when you walk inside of the University of Islam, we was blessed to do that. Those walls, the doors, just about all the carpenter work. We was blessed to do that. Myself along with a few others that traveled to Chicago from Phoenix and Baton Rouge.
Mm.
So we
That's
started the first phase of the work there on the Mosque Mariam.
Wow, that's interesting because now, when I go to the mosque, I'm caught up in just the beauty of it. What's that experience like for you that when you go there, you're sitting in a place that you can look around and just say, hey, I helped to do some work on that. How does that feel?
Well, you're always proud when Allah allows you to do some good for your nation. And that's what I came into the nation with, that mindset. I saw the Muslim proposer for home development, Honorable Elijah Muhammad, proposed to build in Phoenix, Arizona. Prior to 75, I saw that in the Muhammad Speaks newspaper. That's what it was called at that time. Wasn't a final call. And I say that the very stage that I saw that, I wasn't even in the nation. I said, I would love to be a part of something like this one day. So when I went to Phoenix, Arizona, I was telling Brother Jabril about it. And he said, brother, let me show you the blueprints. He pulled them out. He said, we're still planning on doing this. So it's always a beautiful feeling when you could see something that you was blessed to have your hands in building that. You asked me about also, I think, the farm.
Yes, sir.
So I met with the minister before I went to Chicago. He told me he wanted me to come up there and help him. And right after I got up to Chicago, I was hired to be over the all of the carpenter work there at the farm. And we was blessed to build a house for him, a guest house, to totally remodel his home, to build quite a few bridges, decks all around the property. We were up there for about a year and a half. But it's always a great pleasure to see anything still standing that you was allowed by Allah's grace to be a part of in building.
Was it, if I'm not mistaken, I think you may have told me, was it during that time where the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan bestowed the holy name upon you?
Yes, sir. I was blessed with the name of Abdul Rashid Muhammad in 1989, right after the renovation of Mosque Mariam. And there also in 89, he appointed me as the minister of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. No, that's the way it went.
That's interesting. It's interesting that you mentioned that part, because that's one of my next questions too. Like, how long have you served in the capacity of student minister there in Baton Rouge, and how it came about, and what are some of the lessons that you've learned?
I became the minister here in Baton Rouge, as I stated, in 1989. For a time period, I got a little ill, so I was relieved. But the Honorable Minister Farrakhan reinstated me probably 3 times. I was trying to get away from it. So I was kind of being really rebellious. But anyway, I was elected back on the post after I returned back home from Chicago. And I've been on it ever since. What was the other part of that question, sir?
What were some of the lessons that you have learned serving in this position?
Well, some of the lessons that I learned, number one, we just need to follow the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan instruction and try and be the example of what he is to us. He is the blueprint. All we have to do is keep our eyes focused on him, and we won't make a mistake. One of the things I had to learn was to just be a little bit more humble and not to swing on somebody else just because they swing on you. Sometimes you just got to step back and allow them to swing. And they eventually will get tired. So I was able to see that. So we have to take much when we're in leadership capacity. And I had to learn that. Instead of fighting back, I had to learn to take much. So I've taken a lot by the grace of Allah, but I'm still standing. Yes, and some of those that were pointing at me, they're no longer around. I was able to see them go about their business. All praise to Allah.
And has there been any guidance you received from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan regarding, your labor there and how to be effective?
Well, I always get encouragement from the minister when I see him. Just a smile, just a greeting is encouragement to me. But the last time I spoke with him, it was right after my wife died. She passed. And he requested that I come up to his hotel room to have dinner with him. I didn't think I would have that opportunity. When I got to his room, of course, after he questioned me about it several times. Before I left, he told me that he wanted to come to my mosque and speak at my mosque. I said, all praise due to Allah. I was so happy when he told me that. And he told me several times, he said, yes, brother, I want to come and speak at your mosque. Then he asked me, he said, are you going to the, I think it was an entertainment night when they were drilling competition and all. And I kind of paused. He said, come on with me. And I went to the drill competition with him. All that inspired me a lot because I was a little down and out after my wife died. I actually was holding her hands when she passed right here at my house. And she was a great helper also to Brother Jabril and Minister Farrakhan. She was a sister that basically transcribed his speeches. Minister Farrakhan Savior's Day speeches almost every year. She would be right there as he was preparing his lectures with Brother Jabril. She helped out in that manner, but she was a very humble lady, good lady. But anyway, he told me that he wanted to come to my mosque and wanted to speak at my mosque. It hasn't happened yet, but we know that his mouth was not made to speak either words. So whether he's physically at my mosque or not, I know that he's there spiritually, and he could tune into it wherever that we are, because he has that power now. Allah is making him into himself, as he made the most honorable Elijah Muhammad into himself. So I'm confident that he's there, whether I see him or not. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, man. So much valuable guidance and wisdom in that. So this time is going by fast. We're pulling up on our first break. And so we're going to go to this break, and then we'll be back to hear more of the testimony of our brother Abdul Rashid Muhammad.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps to combat false media. Cash App NNV News.
AsiaticMinds.com. Online education, helping our children to discover their God-given skills, gifts, talents, and passion that will allow them to see their greatness, as well as the greatness of our people. And upon discovering that greatness, infusing them with the desire to use it for the betterment of themselves, their families, our people, and the world. 2022 through 23 enrollment waiting list open now. Visit AsiaticMinds.com.
Worldwide, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Download the Final Call Radio app and take us everywhere. On your phone, on your computer, on your tablet, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also log on to finalcall.com and click the Listen Live button, or finalcallradio.com. Final Call Radio, the official voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam.
Thank you for tuning in to NNV News. Please share your thoughts with us in the comments section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel, National Network View. This is Clifton Muhammad with NNVnews.com.
We're back, brothers and sisters, with more of the interview with our brother Abdul Rashid Muhammad. You know, while preparing for this interview, I came across this picture, and it's an image of you speaking at an event. And on the dais to your right is our brother, may Allah be pleased with him, brother Harold Muhammad, who once served as the minister here in the city of New Orleans. Can you share with us some of the memories that you have about our brother student minister Harold Muhammad?
Yes, I most certainly can. Minister Harold was a beautiful brother. And I heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan say of him that he was one of the best teachers that he had in the entire nation of Islam. He was a very humble brother. Matter of fact, when the Southwest region was established, the four major cities were Houston, Texas, Dallas, Texas, New Orleans, Louisiana, and Baton Rouge. We were like the foundation of the Southwestern region. And Minister Harold was the minister of New Orleans at that time. So all I could say about him was that he was a beautiful brother, very humble in spirit, and very, very much knowledgeable. I met him in Los Angeles at March number 27 before moving away from there. He was in March 27 assisting Dr. Khaled in the ministry. So he was a beautiful brother. I miss him very much. And he did a great job down in the city of New Orleans. He may have been the first successful minister in that city. And I know that you are doing a beautiful job as well, as following in his blueprint.
Oh, praise due to Allah. Definitely, he was definitely, we're standing on the work that he actually did, man. We thank you for sharing that history, and even the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's words about him. And since we're talking about, we mentioned the city of Baton Rouge, and we talked about this prior to the interview. You all have one of the most beautiful buildings where you hold your mosque meetings. Can you talk about how you all came to possess that building, and about the work that you all have done and are doing to beautify it?
Yes, sir. In 1992, I was selected by coalition members that we were a part of to run for mayor of Baton Rouge. I turned that down because first I didn't feel like I had the political experience or the finances. So I came back and they asked me again, well, will you run for city councilman? I accepted that. I ran for city councilman. Around that time, there was a brother who bought a Final Call newspaper on the corner for my brother and a cousin of mine. He visited the mosque the following Sunday. He said, I could see that looked like you all need a building. I said, we do. I said, could you help it? He said, oh, that's no problem. I'll be able to do that. And the next time I saw him, he came back and said, I got a building for you all. So he somehow acquired the building through the city, but he put it in my name, Abdul Rashid Muhammad. So I asked him to go back and put it in the nation's name, because following the example of the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, he puts everything in the nation's name. So I want to follow his example. So he changed up the contract or the deeds and he put it in the nation's name. So now the nation owned that mosque. We had to gut it out. It was pretty much a demolished place. And we rebuilt the whole mosque. It's a two-story structure from the top to the bottom. We just recently, 2 weeks ago, put a new roof on it and painted it over again. But it's a beautiful structure, something nice to see. It's a reflection of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He's a beautiful man. So we should not meet in raggedy places. We reflect in that man who is our divine leader, teacher, and guide. Then we need to try and have something that would reflect him.
Yes,
so
sir.
That's what I've always tried to do since I've been a student minister here.
Yes,
Just
sir.
to constantly work and upgrade it.
That's the spirit. And I interviewed our brother Hannibal Muhammad Jr., whose father was Brother Hannibal Sr. And he told me that he helped with in regards with the crescent that you all have in the inside of the building. They'll
Right.
bring the image back up. Can you talk about his contribution right there?
Oh, certainly. That crescent you see is Brother Hannibal's work. He was a good friend of mine. I met him while I was in Phoenix, Arizona. Matter of fact, he sent me to school. He paid for my general contractor's school that I went to. I was the first black man in the state of Arizona to have a general contractor's license, and Brother Hannibal paid for that license. Later on, he came down and he helped us to do our repair, remodel our mods, and his work still stands. It's still beautiful today. Great man, Brother Hannibal, and a good friend of Brother Jabril, as well as the Honorable Minister Farrakhan and myself.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I also see that your son, one of your sons, Brother Rashid, is assisting you a lot in helping to bring many other youth into the mosque. Can you talk about the work that he's doing there and how he's assisting you?
Of course, yes, sir. I could go on and on, probably for days about Brother Rashid. When he was a baby, 1992, if I'm not mistaken, after the the beating of brother in L.A.
Rodney King.
King. Yes, sir. The minister came to Baton Rouge. He made his first address in regard to the beating of Rodney King here in the city of Baton Rouge. And when he came to our hotel room, I asked him, could I have the believers to come up? But so many of us, he declared we was a mosque on that day, 1992.
Wow.
I didn't quite understand, so we continued on as a study group. He said in 1992, he told the believers that was in that room, he wanted them to get behind me and support me. Most of them were college students. He said, you all have bright, brilliant minds, and Brother Rashid got a lot of great ideas. I need you all to help him. So my son, Rashad, was a little baby. He had just started to walk. At that time, he would not allow anyone to even touch him. He would scream and holler. But he walked up to the Honorable Minister Farrakhan and looked him up in his eyes. And the minister stretched out to him and picked him up, put him in his lap. The minister talked with us for about close to 3 hours. And he kept telling Brother Rashid, as he would pause in between his talk, when you get to be a man, you're going to be great. You're going to be a great, great man when you grow up. And he kept telling him that over and over again. So just recently, we was able to see some of Brother Rashid's greatness. He took Baton Rouge up, organized a few brothers, and we got up to number 4, I think, in the whole nation, 4,500 final call newspapers. No city in the Southwest region, that's him, has ever been up to 4,500 final call newspapers. That brother was largely because of his efforts of motivating just a few brothers now, but it's a handful that came to your city as well. Aided by Brother Captain Jason. He told me about what he did for them. But the brothers traveled throughout the nation. They even went to Cleveland, Ohio, Memphis, Tennessee, Dallas, Texas, Monroe, Shreveport, Lake Charles, you name it. They was going everywhere. New Orleans, pushing the final call newspaper. Highly motivated. They would come to my house in the evenings or at night when they would finish their push and give me an update on what they did. Highly motivated young man, gifted and talented. He have gifts and talent that I don't have. And I use him to help me. As I use my other son that got murdered, he helped me the same way. That was Brother Rahman Muhammad. So, I thank Allah for both of them. Brother Rashid is picking up the mantle, and he's running with it. And I expect even greater things out of him in the very near future to help the Honorable Minister Farrakhan here in this region.
And what advice do you give him? Because I know you've been around for some years, you've seen a lot, experienced a lot, heard a lot. What advice do you give him to help guide him in his growth?
Number one, we have to stay humble. I tell him that all of the time. We're going to be faced with difficulties, We're going to be faced with many trials. We have to remain humble and watch our Lord's workings in whatever trials that we go through. Because in the end, if we stay faithful to him and to his servant in our midst, Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, we will be the winners in the end, whether we live or dead. So I encourage him not to walk away, but to stick it out, regardless of what kind of trials that you're faced with. I've been faced with many myself from the time I walked through the doors, but no one was able to run me away. I'm still here, still standing by the grace of Allah. So I let him know that he's gonna have to follow that same path that I had to follow in the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. He told me when I met with him, he said, brother, he said, I could not go back home to New York City for over 10 years. He said, I was labeled a thief. So was I when I was in Phoenix, Arizona. So he said, now you see how I feel, Brother Rashid. I said, yes, sir. This was right before he gave me my name. I said, I understand exactly how you feel. It feels so bad, you know. So I try and let my son know it's going to be things that's going to be said about him and done to him. But don't get on track. You stay on your post, stay on your mission. And he has Dynamite's crew with him, Brother Brad X, who is with me today, helping with this broadcast, is helping me also, and a few others. So I thank Allah for him, Brother Brad, and the young brothers that's helping.
Praise be to Allah. Beautiful, man. And we're coming up on our last break, brother. And we thank you, Brother Abdul Rashid, for what you're sharing. And we look forward to your responses to these next questions after we come back from these next breaks. For those who are watching, make sure you hit the like button, the subscribe button, and we'll see you back after this break.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps us to highlight solutions for a brighter tomorrow. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
Individually, we are poor when you compare us with white society in America. We are poor. Collectively, we are richer than all the nations in the world with the exception of 9. That's power right there if we know how to prove it. We begin the process of building a greater economic base. And at the same time, we are putting pressure where it really hurts. We don't have to argue with anybody. We just need to go around to these stores and to these massive industries in our country. Say, God sent us by here to say to you that you're not treating his children right. We come by here to ask you to make the first item on your agenda fair treatment where God's children are concerned. Now, if you're not prepared to do that, we do have an agenda that we must follow. And our agenda calls for withdrawing economic support from you. We mean business now, and we are determined to gain our rightful place in God's world.
AsiaticMinds.com. Online education, helping our children to discover their God-given skills, gifts, talents, and passion that will allow them to see their greatness, as well as the greatness of our people. And upon discovering that greatness, infusing them with the desire to use it for the betterment of themselves, their families, our people, and the world. 2022 through 23 enrollment waiting list open now. Visit AsiaticMinds.com.
Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel at National Network View. I am Anissa Muhammad with NNVnews.com.
And we're back to continue our interview with Brother Abdul Rashid Muhammad. And I would like to start off, you have a relationship in the history of Brother Jabril. And in fact, it was through you that I was able to begin to meet him and develop a relationship as well. Can you share with us how your relationship with Brother Jabril developed and some of your fondest memories that come to mind about him?
Yes, sir. I can recall reading a book by Brother Jabril that he wrote prior to 1975. If I'm not mistaken, it was This Is the One, if I'm not mistaken. Some years later, when I moved to Los Angeles, after the renovation of Mosque number 27 that I was over, I had a chance to meet him. He became our minister in Los Angeles and the Western Regional Minister there while I was in Los Angeles. Of course, later, a few years later, I moved down to Phoenix. There he hired me to be over. I think I stated it once I reiterated over the reconstruction of Mosque number 32. I found him when I moved to Arizona to be a very humble and loving man, full of the spirit of Allah. He treated me like I was his son. I received nothing but love there in the city of Phoenix, Arizona. Something I missed after moving from home, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, out to the West Coast. I felt like when I moved to Arizona, finally came to something I was looking for. It was a mosque full of loving believers, which Brother Jabril headed that up. Mosque number 32 at that time. One of the funnest memories of him was actually when he came to New Orleans. He called and asked me to meet him down there. And I have forgotten exactly what year it was. It probably was his last time coming to New Orleans. And he asked me to, I think to get, 40 believers to be examined by his wife, Dr. Patina. I think that number was 40. I didn't know exactly how many that it was, but I found out after she had finished of her examination that night, I asked a believer how many was it. And I was told by her, who was Rashida Muhammad, that it was 40 that saw him. So I was able to tell that to him. But while he was there, he started feeling so fired up and good. He told me that he had not felt this way since the first group of believers that he raised up in Arizona. He felt just that good about us. He told me that we reminded him of that group. And I think you was in that group also, Minister Willie. You was examining his wife.
Mm-hmm.
Several of the believers from Mosque number 46.
Mm-hmm.
He did, I think, a presentation there with you all. But he was so fired up as a result of just viewing the spirit of the believers here in Baton Rouge and New Orleans, until he told me he hadn't felt that good since he raised up that first group of beloved believers in the city of Phoenix, Arizona. You know, that was the first study group, I think, that was established in the nation. It was Phoenix, Arizona. And at one time, Brother Jabril would write the study guides for the nation. But I had a beautiful experience with him, and we always have gotten along real good. He's just a humble man. I mean, next to the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, you're very, very close to him. That's all I can say. Yeah, that he's very close to the Minister Farrakhan.
Beautiful. Yes, sir. And beautiful. And I know you told us about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan blessing you with the holy name. Can you share a little bit more detail how it came about and what were your thoughts when you realized you were being blessed with such?
Well, it's kind of personal, but I share some of it with you. As I was working on the big house in Phoenix, Arizona, all of a sudden I got, I guess, fired, me and my crew. I found out some years later as I was working on Mariam that I got fired because I was labeled a thief. It was so hurting, but when I heard it, I just started laughing, right? Because I know I've never been a thief. I always have given to the nation. So I was told not to leave town until I talked to the Honorable Minister Farrakhan from Chicago. So I went up to the palace and I met with him, and we had a meeting, and I brought that up to him, that I was told that I had got fired off of the project in Arizona along with the brothers that's with me because I was labeled a thief. I won't go all the way into the detail, but he told me, he said, brother, my name is Herman X. You see, I heard that too. But he said, you know, I talked to many people about you on the West Coast, and most of them spoke good about you. You see, I came to the conclusion that you was not a thief. You see, but now you feel, you say, you know how I felt when I was in New York City when I was labeled a thief and I could not go back. And he told me, actually, I started crying. First time I probably had cried since I was a young boy. He hit on the table and he said, brother, he said, seek refuge in Allah. He said, I have chosen some big names that I'm going to give to you. He said, will you come back and help me to complete the renovation of Mosque Mariam? I said, yes, sir, I most certainly will. So I came back, myself and brothers with me. And afterwards, he told us to come and visit him again at the palace, and he would give us our names. And he told me I picked out some big names I'm going to give to you, brother Herman. And I was the first one he gave the name, Abdul Rashid Muhammad, too. And that's basically how it happened. I'm trying my best to live up to the attributes of that name, of those names.
Praise be to Allah, my brother. And we thank you for the great testimony that you shared. And I'm so blessed that we were able to get this history recorded. And so the last question I will ask, is there anything you would like to share that you did not have the opportunity to share during this interview?
Well, again, I first would like to thank you for inviting me to participate in this interview. It's been very inspiring to me, and sometimes you ask me I hadn't thought about in years. I don't know if I answered them right, if they will get me in any trouble. I pray that they don't. But I think that what we need to do is just stay focused. The wisest thing that we could do, stay focused on the words and teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad that's coming through the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He told us to watch the weather. And ever since he told that, there's been some hell of a situations that's gone down in regard to the weather throughout America as we witness the storms, snowstorms that's ravaging this country. I mean, from the Midwest all the way to the East Coast, they are intensifying. The storms are and the flooding throughout this country. Allah is bringing America down to her knees along with the pandemic. So the best thing we could do is strive as hard as we can while we still got some time to be righteous Muslims and follow the example and teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan leadership while we still have time. That's what I'm striving to do.
Beautiful, beautiful. Once again, my brother, thank you for granting us this interview. Thank you for what you shared. It's very rich, the history, and we thank you for the work that you're doing. May Allah continue to bless you, your family, and the believers there in the city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Thank you, Brother Minister Willie, very much.
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam, sir.
Yes. And for those who are watching, we thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you also share this with other people. You can email it to them, text it to them, share it on your social media. This is your brother Willie Muhammad, and we thank you all for tuning in to another broadcast of I Have a Testimony.
Go home and study. See, many of you don't study your religion. And you think you're going to attain something without studying.
But if you believe in something, you need to study it so you can become proficient in what you do. Now watch this. God came to us to seek and to save that which was lost. He raised a man from among us.
He, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, laid the foundation. What I'm doing is something that comes from him through me, and the thing that he uses in me to do the work is my faith in him and the word that he taught. To produce men and women who wanted to clean up their life and build an independent nation for the glory of God.